being the son, I was supposed to be the carrier of the legacy. You understand? So it came to a point where I had to flee for my life because there were rumors that I was wanted dead too.
On culture. Ngululeko on Culture, hello and welcome to yet another episode. Thank you very much for joining us. Please subscribe, comment, and like the content. And thank you very much for subscribing if you're part of the 35,000 people that have subscribed to the channel. Today we have a very, very special guest, a very interesting human being that you've seen on TikTok and everywhere. Bonga is a homeless person. That's how we get to know him. But of course, he's a human being with a very compelling story. Bonga, thank you very much for joining us. How are you, sir?
I'm my regular self. Yeah. Yeah, embracing his grace because I'm a profound believer in such.
And the other booty, I'm lost, bro.
Jehovah.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. It took us 2 hours to get you, but finally you're here.
Yes.
Shout out to Ufenza Peliahaya
Yes.
for driving and getting it. Thank you so much. And shout out to Khaukhelo Sebata as well, our videographer. And thank you very much for you guys joining us. Please don't forget to subscribe. A lot of people are fascinated by your story.
Yes.
And obviously the language is the appeal to it and the personality as well.
Yes.
But we'll get there as to how you get to speak the way that you speak.
Okay.
And the personality. But who are you really and where do you come from? Ubonga ubani? Ubuya kuphi?
All right. Igama ubonga Bonga Sithole uJobe umondisi umantshana umsongo insimbi kubase umaphithe ngegama nesibongo. Shuthi my mom's uhlala eZola too, but my pops use koTlhabane ko Bestere for Rustenburg. So yeah, okay, my pops was like the guy taxi owner. Mara yena, he was shot dead, 9 bullets to the head. He died. You understand? So it's in a sense part and parcel of why I came to being migrating down at Campus Square intersections, you understand? Because it was more of domestic mishaps in Lini, you understand? Because as you know now yourself, Uguti, the taxi industry can be very mean, you understand? To such an extent, Uguti, my own family were like at disputes for over my father's estates because I was my father's only son. So as being the son, I was supposed to be the carrier of the legacy. You understand? So it came to a point where I had to flee for my life because there were rumors that I was wanted dead too.
Yeah, it's a very tragic story. And I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your father. But how was you growing up, Ezola? Was your mother and father living in the same house, or you were saying it was in Rustenburg for the most part? So how was family life to you from your early ages, maybe until your teen years?
They split at a very tender age. So my pops get Tlhabane, get Bestere, get Rustenburg, and then my mom's go Zola. So my upbringing was back and forth. Yeah, but like one annum here, 1 year there, 1 year here, 1 year here. You understand? But one of my fondest memories were going to school it was an Afrikaans school. Dit was eers 'n boerskool my belangrikste maat. So ek is 'n boer binne, net 'n bietjie buite gebrand in die Here se heilige genade. Ja, man.
He comes from Benoni, so he would understand you better. Offense. He's a cheese boy from Benoni. And he went to an African school as well.
Okay. Yeah.
But I want you to give us the audience a window into your life at the time. So you went to an African school,
Yes,
which
yes,
is
yes.
in a way an insinuation that there was some prosperity in your household. What kind of life were you living there? You say you were a father's only child. Benibangaphi ngaphakathi endlini kumama yakho? Be life enjani leyo as when you were younger?
All right. To be honest with you, my father, I would say, was a womanizer in a sense. Because then, he loved women. And he had many wives, you understand? But on my mom's side, I was the only one. But on a broader scale, BC 19, all around Umzansi, you understand? To begin my twins, a Vokros, in forecast and stuff. Yeah. So Marayena, I just believe naturally from at a tender age, I always had rather broad cerebral, you understand, naturally, you understand, because, and at that, my father loved me for that, and he tried his best to invest in the growth of you understand, for me, like in terms of education.
Yeah, but and
Yeah.
he's supportive of that.
Yeah, I understand. Yes. So yeah, na bekumuntu, even though beka split here with moms, ingakho beka nokuthi ngihlele 1 year, then angibuyisi, no, let him come ahlale nami for a year, and then one of these white schools zakotlhabane, and then I'd go there. Yeah.
Yeah. How long did you spend with your mother, if you were to estimate? Was it every few years you move away from her? What kind of life was there in that household?
Every annum. Sweetie, it's a year here, a year there.
Yeah.
A year here. Yeah.
That's not ideal for a child.
Yeah, circumstantially, yeah, I could say that, yes. Because obviously, angithi fam has to be like, you understand, that the bondage of having spouses. Yeah.
Like, from whatever you can remember, what kind of relationship did you have with
My
them?
mom still. In fact, mother. The word mother itself speaks volumes. Oh, mama, like mothers. Yeah, royal salute. Like my mom's, la. Yeah. Inkinga nje is their father son. She fell in love with this guy, dog. Uyo ngathi futhi nayo waba inkinga nje life yami, because it got heavy with substance abuse, alcohol in specific. You understand? Angazi ukuthi was he jealous of me, but he, like, he tuned me 99, which wena, you're not my own, and you'll never be my own. You understand? So he was more a culturally based being. Yabon, which mina ngithi bengibiza isibongo setime, my biological.
Actually, Sithole,
no, actually, isibongo lesi ese old lady uSithole.
Okay.
Yeah, ubabam bekumadonsela. Yeah. So other guy kahle kahle like he had friction, and funny enough, umama at the time beka manager yase Xerox nase Bytes Document Solutions. So was one another this guy engasebenzi. He even spoke to the superiors, which by once that was done and established, was she waba a totally different character. First, waba heavy with alcohol. Then he would start hoying oral rubbish my way, and that's something I found as one of izinto, like your experiences as a being, which oral out surpasses any physical form of it digs deeper into, you understand. So I believe those are some of the things that contributed to me being a street dweller. Should it evaluate about the cherry on top, what happened to my biological dad, who was and
yeah. Did your mother have any other children with your stepfather?
As time progressed, they did.
And were you living with them at the time that there were those children were born?
Yes.
How was the situation when they were born?
It was always, he came drunk and, be all physically and orally. He was too physical. Mara, the oral part of things, things that came out of verbally were too suppressive to me. And imagine the saddest part where these young offspring and pedigree abasakhulayo witnessing, because as you know, the young yabona reflective,
impressionable,
yes, from their elders as to izinto ezenzakala in any domestic establishment. You understand? So I felt more for them, bangakhuli bebona these altercations between stepfather and
how severe were those confrontations, from what you can remember? Was it every week when he comes back from work drunk, he would beat your mother plus you guys? Can you expand a little bit more on that? What would happen?
Actually, mangakutshela kahle ne, I think it was more the jealousy side of things with my father, was it his own, because izinto bezinophuma emlonyeni wakhe. Why don't you go to your father, your tycoon father? You are busy with us here. Oh, you are being a nuisance. It's like manje, we have a hog in the house. And then my mother would stand up and was like, Yabana, when I'm not even entertaining you. And it was like his mission or his core mandate was for me to leave. And then my mother was like, where does he go? Because this is my flesh and blood. If you don't love me, well, if you don't love him, you don't love me. So it came to a point where he would chase me. Then I would like outside on rainy days or whatnot. As progressively, like at Campus Square being a street dweller.
So you going to the street is the direct result of him chasing you out, and it's not as a result of you being a teenager who's being delinquent who does. It was nothing like that. He was deliberately pushing you out.
Because at the time I was still I wasn't even. I was still in school at the time.
When you observe now your mother standing up for you, was that sufficient? Was your mother, perhaps my mother, for example, could not stand up for me with my stepfathers because that was the only shelter that she would have at the time, and she would know that every time I was being that if she stands up for me, then we don't have a place to stay automatically, So when you observe your situation, did your mother fight enough for you? Why did she do that? Or why, if you feel that she didn't do that, why not?
I feel like almost the same scenario. My mother bought a house, go land, but unfortunately it was repossessed due to Yasma's bond mortgage payments. And then they had to stay by the man's house. Now the bull in his own crawl. You understand? So hence, I believe that was what was giving him more of an oomph. Which, this is my roof. I can do whatever I please. Yeah. So I believe my mother was slightly powerless in a sense. You understand? Against this bull with horns. Yeah. At the time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very touching story. It's reflective of what happens to kids when they're not protected sufficiently and what adults they eventually become. And of course, we complain about crime and lawlessness in South Africa, but when you always search and dig deep, you find that there was a foundation.
Domestic mishaps.
Absolutely. The foundation would have been that domestic situation in your regard. What kind of relationship do you have with your mother's children?
Are they
like, boys or girls? How
girls,
younger than you?
Girls.
What is the age gap between you and them?
I'm 15 years older than the second one. And then the other one, I'm 18.
18 years older than the other one. And how's the relationship?
Lovely. In fact, it's strange because they love me. Because you know why? I believe I played a role in their upbringing. You understand? Because the guy was always out boozing and whatnot. So I was the one, typically, I would change the diapers sometimes. Understand? I was the one, it was my mission to take them to daycare, etc. You understand? Yeah, so those basic things, an elder brother contributes to his sibling sisters. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was school like for you? You mentioned an Afrikaans school. Was that the duration of your high school years throughout, or that was starting from primary?
That was primary. Yeah.
What was school like for you?
School was lovely. In fact, I was excelling at school. If it was possible, I would bring in my teachers now. This guy. To such an extent that I never did my grade 3. I went straight from grade 2 to grade 4. I was promoted.
Very impressive.
Yes, because I excelled. I hit the whole school. I had with the marks.
Did you find that you are academically strong in more areas than literature? Were you also good in mathematics and science, if you can remember?
Very.
Yeah.
I was. In fact, there's a boy, as we speak, actually it was last year, I was helping him draft essays. He was studying chartered accounting and actuarial sciences.
Wow.
Yeah. So his mother would actually compensate me in a sense.
Yeah.
To spend the whole day at the boy's house. And it was, most slightly before, it was still online learning.
Oh yeah, during COVID where people needed to be at home.
Yeah, but slightly last year.
Sure.
November-ish.
Towards the tail end of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
During that time, yes. So I sometimes overwhelm myself, to be honest with you, because just for me to grasp the book, okay, most of these books, like tertiary institutions.
Yeah, a textbook.
Yes. Tax and whatnot and whatnot. Yeah. So for me I just asked the boy to give me at least 4 days for me to go through, because I never did chartered accounting myself.
I did BCom accounting at university, and that thing is fucking difficult.
You understand?
So for you to grasp it,
yes,
that's fucking wild.
Yeah. So those are one of the things that were revelations to me that I, as I've emphasized earlier, have been blessed with a rather broad cerebral that is very quick to absorb and grasp new forms of data or input via the Grand Canyon.
That's why you're kind of cool. So we're still talking about your primary school days.
Okay.
What kind of animal were you? Not animal per se, because children are not animals, but what kind of social being were you? Were you more awkward when you were in primary school? Did you find that it was easy for you to engage? What kind of kid were you when you were in school?
Social. I'm very social. I embrace the vast and diverse masses. So I'm just, and I was, funny enough, when even my first day at school, like friends were like, I was like magnetic, like, yeah.
When you say magnetic, that's related to a magnet. That means you attracted people.
Amen.
Yeah. You're gonna confuse the audience.
Okay. My sincerest of apologies.
The thing is, some of these things we develop when we're older. Some of us are late bloomers, and when we were younger, because as a result of the domestic situation, you find that when you're at school, you find it difficult to interact. Even though naturally perhaps you are an extrovert, because you're being suppressed so much domestically at home, you find that it's difficult to engage with other children. Of course, it expresses itself differently from child to child. Some kids, as a result of the violence, they will practice it with people that are their size and their age. That means they will bully other kids because they're being bullied by bigger people at home as well. That's why I'm saying, like, it's not always obvious that because you are now more expressive and you embrace people, as you say, you embrace the masses. Maybe when you were a kid, you were more conservative or you were more drawn into towards yourself as opposed to engage with people. Would you characterize your childhood at school as a positive experience? Like, did you really enjoy that experience?
Yeah. Very. Mara, as I could say as time progressed, that's where like the echoes of my domestic mishaps started to unveil. You understand? Especially at high school. You understand? Yeah, because manje, it was deteriorating my marks. You understand? Because I wasn't now performing as I was, firsthand, because of the constant nag of a man. So I just believe, yes, it does penetrate you through, but it never, funny enough, it never deteriorated my behavior. I was, not throughout. I've always been a people's person, even at school. Like, Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Was there a drop in standards, not necessarily in your academia, but in the school? Like, so if you go to an Afrikaans primary school, I would imagine that the school fees is exorbitant.
Okay.
But then, was that same standard maintained in high school as well? Did you find that they found a school for you that was good, or you had to drop to a township school? Did that ever happen to you?
It did.
What happened?
I went from that Afrikaans school straight back to Egasi,
Yeah.
Echablani, Kolwane. Yeah.
That's a culture shock.
You understand? Yeah. And that's imagine these two diverse schools, like Pela Ikarlin Park, we did everything in Afrikaans. Like literally everything. Even the teachers, even interacting with each other as students, as learners, like we had to use the tongue. Because this was very way back. This was 92 and 93. So this is a while. Understand? That's what's
Yeah. So how was the high school experience then, as you have to go back to a township school now?
One of the greatest difference I have to be honest was the corporal punishment of yeah, because like in Caroline Park they had ways of disciplining us. They used more of like, okay, for instance, it's an example. A dog, it does a trick, then you give it a treat, like good dog, that was the kind of things that was the kind of ways they used like congrats and oh yeah, he's a star.
Yeah, they praise you.
Yes,
they positively reinforce your morale.
You understand?
And when they punish you, they give you a demerit system, which does not involve corporal punishment.
Yeah.
What it means is that they will put you in a book.
Yes.
If your name appears in the book 3 consecutive times, you might go to detention.
Yes.
Which means that after 3 or after school, you'll spend an hour or clean or whatever.
Yes.
So that's like that's their form of punishment in deterring you from misbehaving.
Yes.
Whereas in township, I have both experiences myself too.
Amen.
So in the townships, they will beat the hell out of you.
Yes. Exactly my experiences.
Yeah. Did you then socially was it more difficult, given that the language in primary school was Afrikaans and you would have understood English at that point and more expressive in those languages? Then you go back to Jabulani. Are you not being judged for the way you speak, manje babona ukuthi coconut and stuff like that? Did that happen?
No, because obviously isiZulu is my mother tongue.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah, but it's basically those things. Yeah, and just the diversities of the atmospheres and environments in these two schools. It's more privilege this side, where we had a stack of books at the back of the class in Rustenburg, whereas at Jablani we only used one textbook every 6 children, on which we had
we had to share.
We had to share. So those are one of the things that were of differences between the two. Understand? Yeah. But more, I believe, just it's more privilege. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any problems with girls as you progress as a teenager? Like were you able to? Because of course, every teenager, whether they are straight or they find themselves gay-ish, your first entry to relationships is those late teen years, 18, 19, 17. How were you with girls, if that was your inclination?
Funny you mentioned, hey, there was this chick. Oh. Hey, her name was Salamina. Oh, mfana. Angazi. I believe there's a time when you have that first, really first, you understand, like really clickety-click with the opposite counterpart, understand? And she was it for me, like to such an extent. But now the problem is I was too fantasy over it than actual reality, to such an extent with me now. I was like, okay, this could be the mother of my kids. This is the person I just believe is my future spouse. Understand? Ash. And then, we split. Like, okay, not split, but we had two different schools. Understand? And to be honest, I never knew where she stayed. Understand? Nerokopanela, let's say Rutluile at the time. Understand? So that to me, it was like, you understand? Like, yeah, it was. I feel like I was split in half.
That was your first heartbreak.
Yeah. And I like personally, I believe the first is the harshest.
Yeah,
I don't know
the
about other
first
people.
cut is the deepest,
Nah, yeah.
basically.
So that was it. Yeah. And funny enough, I've never had a chick ever since.
That's strange.
Yeah.
Are you into women or men?
No, women.
Women.
Yeah.
Okay. How far did you go to school? In school, like grade 11, grade 12? Do you have a matric?
School, ne? Okay. Ngaphelela ku
Oh yeah,
Standard
standard. Standard.
yeah.
You guys had standard.
Yeah, standard 7, which is what? Grade 10.
Standard 7 is grade 9.
Grade 9.
Yeah, because standard 6 is grade 8.
Okay. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah.
What were the circumstances that led you to drop out of school? Was it in correlation as a result of what was happening domestically that you had to leave school?
Yeah, and it was more of a fusion of, there was another an obese teacher called Letswalo. Oh, this guy. Yabona ke manje, it's more of now medleys and fusions of things working, orchestrating themselves to suppress me away from school. You understand? Or the guy, like, he was super aggro. I even to this day believe, okay, I think that guy was bipolar or he had personal issues. I don't know, maybe it was his own. That's why was he huge, but like he was like massive. Understand? Yeah. And I don't know, like that man was super aggro. Like he was a hard man. Like he was very hard. And I think maybe it was, maybe his weight. Because even kids at school would make fun of him. Understand? There was a time when he exploded when kids, they drew pictures of him. I wanna like even with the pig's head. Understand? And yeah, man.
That's super
like,
creative.
hey, dog. Understand? So, hey, and I think they were nurturing the inner beast into this man because, boy, was this man mean, dog. And futhi mina, I don't know why, but he just didn't like me. I think it's because maybe he saw me. Okay, it was when I started smoking cigarettes, to be honest. And he ugangithola smoking cigarettes by Baba, all hell broke loose from that day. He just made it like he's a mandate to be here. You understand? And then now it was now becoming a bottle of toxic medleys, understand, to where at a certain time it will explode. You understand? Because here's this teacher being, like an asset to my life. Here's a guy back at home being a bull with horns. Understand? So that to me, and then my father's death, boom. I just, yeah.
Can you please, to the best of your ability, explain to us the circumstances that led to your father dying? What happened to him? And also maybe give us an idea of, you mentioned briefly that he was a moneyed person because he owned taxis. Just let us know what kind of man was he. Was he a wealthy guy? And what led to his death as well?
My father was dead, 9 bullets to the head. He was doing washing, and a red Corolla pulled in, and 2 Zulu guys and then they just started spraying and spraying and spraying and spraying. And to be honest with you, I don't know why, because as we all know, the violence over the taxi industry is just a plague to this beautiful country of ours.
Yeah.
So it's a shame. It's a sadness rather. Its kids are being the one victimized. You understand? Of this ravaging wolf, which is these gruesome of these people. Because one of the saddest part in Pinjam, as Africans, during the funeral, they have to open his box. We have to see him. To me, that picture does not. It's constantly here because his head was
disfigured.
Jesus, understand? Yeah. So to me, that it had tormented me a lot. Yeah. A part of me once died, actually, to such an extent I was drawn for a long time. Yeah. You could say that.
What do you understand about his death and the circumstances surrounding that? Was there a hit out for him, or was this the competition around routes? Because that's like the main issue most of the time. And was maybe his prosperity a threat to the other owners as well? What did you hear? What theory is in your heart with what you gathered when you were younger?
I believe, yes, Baba, yes, they were the funniest part, but there's a rumor actually, even circulating even to this very day in Rustenburg, Guti, Umam is involved. My aunt, who is my father's older sister. Yes. The manner in which she carried herself, even in the funeral, it was of a celebratory mood than actually someone who's mourning. Understand? And she's the one who was frontline everything, like she wanted. We understand. Even me now, I'm as from all those things. Yes, because this thing was pre-orchestrated, you understand, to such an extent. After my father's death, Batama even the owners, you understand, which as operate. Why? I don't know. And Mina, there were 2 SMSs which Usiswami showed me, which said, Mina, if I even try, I'll receive the same as my father. So that's why I backed off, because hence I was supposed to be the carrier of the legacy or the heir to my father's estates.
Do you understand that he was wealthy, according to your observation at the time?
11 taxis and 2 buses. In a sense, he was. In that standard, he was. I wouldn't say super wealthy, but just, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, this is very touching. You say that you became the target after your father's death. Was that a natural thing that you were going to go into in the first place? Because given your intellect and your you're so eloquent in your speak and your ability, as you say now, to even consume information that is complex.
Yes.
It could have been that you were not even going to be in that industry.
Yes, I wasn't. Actually, I wanted it to be more something sustaining for my other siblings.
Yeah.
And I would have partially ventured in it for my own endeavors, understand, to gain capital, understand, to do something else. which I am interested in. For instance, your freight, logistics, and couriering. Yabo, and property monopoly is what I'm interested in venturing in within the corporate landscape. So yeah.
Okay. Let's move a little bit further from that then. You are a South African sensation. On TikTok, people see your videos. This video is going to be popular, no doubt.
Yes.
As YouTubers, we are always worried about whether or not an episode is going to be good and people are going to watch it.
Yes.
I know for a fact that people are going to watch this.
Amen.
You know.
Yeah.
How did you find yourself where people know you from? Campus Square. What happened? What were the circumstances that led you to that? We know the circumstances, but what happened? How did you eventually settle to Campus Square?
Oh, Campus Square. I once had a dream out here of being a radio jockey myself. Understand? So there was something that told me to pursue that. But now, circumstantially, as time progressed, I felt that so it's very hard to pursue something from the street point of view.
Yeah, obviously.
So as time progresses, it wears down that spark that you understand it, because you meet diverse and vast beings who've got negative perception, some of negative, understand? Yeah, people call you names or whatnot. So that on its own, it scars your your spirit and your confidence as a being. Understand? So yeah. That's why I believe I ended up in Campus Square. It was more of a part of a journey of me trying to pursue my inner young understand.
What's around Campus Square? I'm sure a lot of South Africans don't know. They're not from Joburg.
Yeah.
There's a reason why you're in Campus Square. It's in connection with your dream.
Okay.
What is in and around Campus Square? What is close by there?
Okay, the SABC is the SABC buildings are there. The radio park, and as you know, most SABC as the giant corporate is today, owns about 16 radio stations. There's media park, so I would say Campus Square is like the Hollywood version of Umzansi.
Okay, just hold on. Look at one of the cameras. Let us know which camera to look at. In your best radio baritone, make an appeal to the SABC to your name, surname, your skills, and you want a job from the SABC radio job. Look at that camera. In your best radio,
Okay.
Yeah, just look there. Hi, SABC. My name is Ngululego. I am the next guy, your next superstar. Say something like that.
All right. Sanbonani, SABC. Ubonga lo. Usithole uJobe umondisi manjana umsongo wensimbi igubaza umaphithe. I need not redefine myself more logically, because even Nani, as I would say, recognize this unique specimen of a being by now. So I believe ukuthi nje, by his grace, he who is enthroned in the vast horizons is the royal majesty of the intergalactic cosmos, possess this oral bomb of a thing for a radio and whatnot ads. And plus, I have done a couple of things on my behalf. So,
thank you. Well done. Well done. Someone is going to clip that part and they're going to send it to SABC.
Okay.
That's the power of the internet. I don't know who's going to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know when they're going to do it.
Yes.
I just know that they're going to do that.
Okay.
They're going to clip this part, that part, with your voice, and they're going to send it to someone from SABC.
Oh, man.
And you're not far from them. Yeah. So one day, if they... their cognitive whatever properties are working,
serving them correctly.
Serving them correctly. They are gonna go and search for you. For the same reason why we had to go and search.
I'm not even far. I'm like 3 blocks down.
Exactly. Let me get your mic close to you.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's wrap up then.
Yeah.
What are some of the worst experiences that you go through on a weekly basis or day-to-day basis as you live in the street?
The harshest
Yeah.
would be the climate. Imvula.
Yeah.
Wow. You could just imagine yourself.
Yeah.
No roof. Like it's pouring. Woo. The climate is the worst. Like there, it takes the crown. You understand? Yeah.
And of course, you have to navigate.
Cold.
You have to navigate people's attitudes and
Yes,
some of the
yes,
mean
yes,
things
yes,
that they say as well.
That's the second hardest thing you go through, which is be like diverse beings with broad perceptions, some of them sensationalist perceptions, which hoy oral or verbal rubbish your way, which tends to suppress you emotionally as time progresses. So yeah.
All right. And then on a day-to-day basis, what do you do on those robots? You beg for money.
Yeah, circumstantially, I'd say that. And I'm in the process of writing a book actually currently. Yes. It's like an autobiography of my life. Kunomunye umlungu laphana, well, he promised, I'm not sure, but he promised to fund me for the editing and publishing side of things. So right now, that's what I'm pushing. And I need for my book to be published.
Are you into any substances?
Weed. Yeah, weed. Cigarettes. Yeah. Okay, I used to do heroin. Yeah, I used to do heroin a long time. And then I was arrested. Possession of illicit substances. And then I was arrested for 18 months. Yeah, then I came back. That's when this guy came to me with the proposal of writing a book. Yes, trying to engage the masses with an in-depth embracing it through literature as to who this individual is. Yeah.
How was the prison experience?
Yo.
Why are you laughing? Was it a fun experience? Were you in a hotel?
No. It's more. It's a parallel out here. But the saddest part in Bijam is witnessing people who were doing life or hefty sentences, because before being arrested, you'd be all shivers to say, oh. But one thing you'll notice, those are beings. That's something I took as an experience. I saw more of lost souls than hardened convicts. Yes.
Did you find it easy to navigate the space? Given, you're an intelligent being, unless you can be able to morph into someone who speaks their language and reach their level. But did you find it easy to be in there?
No, man.
How was it for you?
Yo, you could imagine. 23 hours lockdown, 1 hour exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is why some people come back. There's a guy I know who went berserk. They eventually gave him a medical parole because he was going mental.
Yeah.
Because imagine a room the size of an average bedroom with 90 other men. Yeah, man. So that is not comfy in any standards. Yes.
Absolutely. Your love for books, where do you get your books? And how many books do you read maybe per month?
I even lost count.
Yeah.
It has to be something every evening.
Okay.
It just has to be something every evening before I lay my head down. Legit. Books, there's a charity shop down at Main Road. Oliver, the guy who owns Hope, Hotel Hope. There are books which people gather from church. So I used to buy some of the books with the money I make from the interest. But as time progressed, gradually this white guy was, this guy, and he started, no, chill, don't buy. I'll just, give it to you.
Yeah.
I was like, because he began to be mutual to me. Like, yeah.
That's decent.
Yeah.
That's decent of him.
Yeah.
And do you gravitate towards any genre. I was telling you that I'm more into sports because of my background.
Okay.
In journalism and interviewing sports people. What kind of genre? Like, do you read anything?
Yo, I mean, it's as long as it's input, I just love input. You understand? Novels I read too. My last novel I read was The Black Riders. Yeah.
How strong is your memory, your ability to recall? Because I'm 32 and I read in chunks, so I'll have like a 4-month span where I'm pushing. Then the rest of the year I'm just chilling. I will maybe pick up one book every once in a while in 3 or 4 months. But what I also realize is that I can't really recall most of the stuff that I'm reading. Beyond a week or two. Not necessarily that I've forgotten. I will just have formulate a summary in my head. This book was about a guy. This one was about a guy who was involved in match fixing in football. So this tells you most of the matches that you are watching in football all over the world, some of them, if it's 2-0, it's because there were people like him who concocted for it to be 2-0 or 0-0 or 4-0. And he made millions doing that. And then he got arrested in Finland.
Wow.
But my ability to recall it is a summary I created in my head, even though I read it from cover to cover.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm not that strong anymore in recalling. I prioritize information. How are you, like, in terms of recalling books and information?
That's why I've emphasized early on. I just believe with His grace has blessed me with such. Yeah. Like, I just do. Yeah.
So you would remember the characters in the book?
Yes.
And the names of the characters?
Yes.
And their emotions as it was described in the book?
Yes. Yeah, especially the emotional side of things, like what the authors try to portray. That's what I look for most. You understand? Because the reason why you read a novel is what the author is trying to convey.
Sure.
You understand? In a sense of, in a non-visual but literal way. Yeah.
How important is school versus education versus someone's ability to engage with the world in an intelligent way and make the right decisions? Because I think South Africa or the world is stuck between indoctrinating children and giving them certification. So I ask you something this week as a teacher. For as long as you can recall 50% of it next week or next month, you have passed the test.
Wow.
But as a result of that, we are not really skilling people. We're not giving them skills and the tools for them to be able to conquer the world. For you, I mean, I'm speaking to an intelligent person who, despite not having a matric, I could argue that you're smarter than me. Like, you have better skills than me. So how important is that in your, like, if you've ever thought about it, how important is school versus just us being able to teach people to use skills and to engage with life practically and intellectually?
You are so correct. I believe that practical practice is the way of equipping our beloved young into engaging or venturing in of, let's say, in their career paths. Understand? Because we can read as much or acquire as much here, but if we don't have it here, like practically, understand? It's more the practical side of things, you understand, that will equip people more than, because hence that is why, what is the difference between having knowledge and having wisdom?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Wisdom is more outplayed. You understand? Knowledge is more
theoretical.
You understand?
Yeah. All right. Last one. We can dwell for as long as we want to on this part, maybe for the next few minutes. Who and what is God to you? And what does he, she, it mean to you?
One thing I believe, and what biblically or scripturally it says, God is love. once we, the masses of the society, ultra, super, or embrace the true definition of the term LOVE, you understand? Once love outsurpasses any other mediocre globally, understand? I believe love leads, because there are, maybe you're familiar with this, where the Bible says God is love. Understand? Even Jesus himself, before descending up into the heavens above, what did he say? He said, actually, there were two different verses, ne, where Jesus says, where they were asking about the law, ne, the commandments. He said, the greatest of all commands is that love your God. Love, you see, love your God with all. And then he said, love thou neighbor as you love thyself. He says these are the greatest of all. Why are they the greatest? Because they embrace the word love. And then before he descended up into the heavens, he gave them one last command: love each other as I have loved you. You understand? So the word love for me is very profound. Very, very, very profound. Once we learn to love and embrace each other for what we are, not for what we possess. Understand? Because I believe, Uti, nowadays, people's minds have been polluted. You understand? Based on things like media. You understand? For instance, any hip-hop video, what is shown? A mansion, cars, women, booze. You understand? They are putting this mud of an idea in the minds of the masses, as to say, if you have these, you are content. Understand? Whatever happened to embracing love? Just like the Black Eyed Peas. Where is the love? Understand?
Yeah.
So I believe, Guti, being a public figure, especially a musician, I believe these people were put for specific tasks, but some of them misuse that, and they are misguiding the youth. So I personally believe that media is one of the most fundamental platforms of engaging to the masses in the society. And if you misuse that to pollute the mindsets of the masses, you understand that it's like negative karma, as you said.
Yeah.
You understand? So I just strongly would believe to emphasize to they who are of privilege to engage with the masses, to embrace the power of the definition of the term LOVE.
It's funny. That's beautiful. Thank you. That was lovely. It's funny you mention hip hop, as you say, in the Bible it says, and then you quote a Bible verse. You know what happened to me when you were saying in the Bible it says? I thought of a guy called Curtis Jackson.
Okay.
He's known as 50 Cent.
50 cents.
Ngoba yena, his line says, in the Bible it says, what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
Homie shot me, 2 weeks later he got shot down.
You understand? You understand?
Hip hop is my religion at some point in my life. Okay, let's play around. The interview is over to anyone who's watching, but I want to do something interesting because you live in the streets, right?
Yeah.
That's not a permanent situation. At some point, it's going to be solved by
Yes.
the universe or by people who have money to elevate you. I believe that's going to happen.
Amen.
But I think you don't know popular culture. So let me mess around with you.
Okay.
Do you know who's Casper Nyovest?
I do.
Who is Casper Nyovest?
Sawanya Telema Timon.
Okay.
Sabakopa.
Is that him? Okay. Zawanya Telema Dimon. Okay. Do you know who's Mac G?
I know Mac G.
So you know things.
Soul Penduga.
Yeah, shout out to Soul and Mac G.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
The podcast and stuff.
So you're not lost. You're still plugged into the world.
Amen.
In a way. How do you see podcasts?
Yeah, it's the
How do you
future.
see them?
It's this.
No, besides how you see the future of podcasts, how do you engage with them if you live in the street? Like, do you have a phone, or how do you see them? How would you have seen them?
I have friends who have friends who have friends. So, to be honest with you, khona ngiyathami kuyangicofa manje yahlala nami for about 6 months. Number 18.
Oh, yeah.
St. Swithin's Avenue. I'm first. So the guy, dog. Shit. With the guy, like, we got traded up with Bitcoin, but without being registered. So that is regarded as. So they froze his assets.
Sure.
I'm twiddling on my hawks and stuff. So he had to flee. He's somewhere in Midrand. And
Okay, cool. So that's how you engaged with popular culture.
Yeah.
So you know who Cyril Ramaphosa is?
Yeah, obvious.
Do you know who David Mabuza is?
Obvious. He's like cabinet minister, what?
He's a deputy president. Okay.
Oh,
You're not lost, Thomas.
Okay.
I've seen other homeless people. Of course, you don't have access to television and stuff like that.
Yeah, man.
Okay, this would have been fun if you didn't know these people. It would have been funny. Like if I ask you who's Ramaphosa and you're like, who's that?
That was strange.
Yeah. This was beautiful. Thank you so much for coming through. I really appreciate it. Shout out to Gaugelo and Ufense as well, because it took a while to get you.
Yes.
But finally we got you.
Royal salute to
because of your consistency of being there at Campus Square, someone is going to find you there.
Amen.
Whether it's us or anyone else with resources, just like we found you, someone is going to find you there. I do believe that.
Amen.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming through, my brother.
Siyabonga.
Yeah.
Yeah.